On January 15, 1978, Ted Bundy broke into the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. He attacked 4 young women, killing Lisa Levy and Margaret Bowman, and leaving the other 2 gravely injured. Bundy had already murdered at least 30 women across multiple states, evading police for years, escaping custody twice in 1977, and taunting authorities with his charm and cunning. The nation watched in horror as reports spread from Washington to Florida, and law enforcement realized they were dealing with one of the most dangerous criminals in U.S. history. But how did a man like Ted Bundy, seemingly normal, intelligent, and charming, become this monster? To understand, we have to go back to November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont, where Theodore Robert Bundy was born. His early life was riddled with secrecy and deception. Raised believing his mother, Eleanor Louise Cowell, was his sister, and that his grandparents were his parents, Ted grew up with a skewed sense of identity. Psychologists studying Bundy later argued that this early confusion and isolation may have shaped his ability to manipulate and deceive later in life. By the mid-1950s, Bundy's family had moved to Tacoma, Washington. As a child, he was shy, introverted, and often socially awkward. Neighbors would later recall that young Ted seemed distant, observing the world quietly, rarely expressing emotion. Small signs of cruelty appeared early. He reportedly killed animals and displayed fascination with death. By the time he reached high school, Bundy had developed a fascination with violent imagery, which would later intertwine disturbingly with his obsession with women who resembled Stephanie Brooks, a college girlfriend who broke up with him in 1969. Bundy enrolled at the University of Washington, studying psychology. He excelled academically but maintained a dual personality, polite, charming in public, yet secretive and obsessive in private. This period is crucial to understanding Bundy, as he began practicing the techniques of manipulation that he would later use to lure victims. By 1968, he met Stephanie Brooks, whose rejection is often cited as an early psychological trigger for his future killings. Bundy's pattern of fixating on women resembling Stephanie would continue through his spree, demonstrating how personal obsession fueled his crimes. One of his earliest known victims was Karen Sparks, though he may have started earlier. His methods were chillingly clever. Posing as a man with a broken arm or leg, he would ask for help, gaining trust before overpowering his victims. He often transported them to secluded locations, where he committed murder, frequently using blunt force trauma, strangulation, or sexual assault. Bundy's killings spread across Washington, Utah, Colorado, and Idaho. Each disappearance escalated fear. Communities warned women to avoid going out alone, and families were gripped with terror. Police initially struggled to connect the cases due to Bundy's mobility and careful avoidance of evidence. But his confidence grew with every successful attack, and his methods became more daring. On August 16, 1975, Bundy was arrested in Utah after a traffic stop revealed burglary tools. He was charged with theft, but investigators suspected him in the disappearances. While in custody, he maintained his innocent, cooperative facade, a stark contrast to the violence he had unleashed. The first of his infamous escapes occurred on June 7, 1977, in Colorado. Bundy was allowed access to the law library in the courthouse, and he noticed a window missing security bars. Seizing the opportunity, he climbed out and vanished. Over the next several months, he made his way to Florida, where he would commit some of his most brutal crimes. In Florida, Bundy struck with audacious precision. On January 15, 1978, the Chi Omega sorority attack shocked the nation. But that wasn't all. On February 9, 1978, he abducted Kimmy and Cheryl Thomas from Lake City, Florida, killing both. His crimes were not only escalating in violence but also in frequency and boldness. Law enforcement was now in a full-scale manhunt, but Bundy's intelligence and ability to evade capture kept him one step ahead. Bundy's second escape came on December 30th, 1977, when he jumped from a second-floor window at the Garfield County Courthouse in Colorado, injuring himself but successfully fleeing. This audacity fascinated and terrified the public. A man capable of escaping justice twice, committing multiple murders, and remaining at large. Despite being a killer, he could appear articulate, polite, and even charming in interviews. He used his intelligence to manipulate people, sometimes gaining sympathy or feigning remorse to reduce suspicion. He kept meticulous details of his crimes in his mind, planning each step with precision. This ability to hide in plain sight became a key factor in his long elusiveness. His capture came on June 13, 1979, in Pensacola, Florida. Bundy was recognized and arrested, ending years of terror. His trial, beginning on June 25, 1979, was a media sensation. Bundy chose to represent himself, showcasing his intelligence and arrogance. He cross-examined witnesses, challenged evidence, and prolonged proceedings, keeping public attention riveted. Bundy's crimes had a massive societal impact. Universities implemented stricter safety protocols, communities became vigilant, and law enforcement agencies developed cross-state collaboration and profiling techniques. His case became a blueprint for understanding the minds of serial killers and the ways in which charm and intelligence can mask extreme evil. Bundy was sentenced to death on July 24, 1979. He remained defiant, continuing to manipulate and charm those around him, but the law ultimately prevailed. On January 24, 1989, Bundy was executed in the electric chair at Florida State Prison, bringing a definitive end to one of America's most infamous criminal careers. Even after his death, Bundy's legacy endured. His life became a cautionary tale about the dangers of charismatic predators and the need for careful profiling, law enforcement coordination, and societal vigilance. From his birth in 1946, through years of killings, escapes, and trials, to his execution in 1989, Bundy's life illustrates how intelligence, charm, and ruthlessness can combine to produce one of history's most chilling criminals. Please subscribe to our channel. It helps us grow. Bye.